Time for breakfast. Time for breakfast. It's time for breakfast. It's time for breakfast. Time for breakfast. It's time for breakfast.
Good morning, Swim World, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. It's Tuesday, August 3rd, and for the first time in a long time, it's hashtag full squad up in this mother. I'm J.E. Skeets, rolling with the homie, Tass Mellis.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, Tass? Got our top shot hot boy, Trey Kirby.
Hey-o!
Hey-yo! The international man of mystery, taking it to the boomers, Lee Ellis.
Friends.
And finally, the man making the magic happen. It took him 40 hours to get home from Canada, but here he is. It's JD.
Hello.
What's up, JD? Man, that was fun, eh?
I wouldn't say fun. No, it wasn't fun. It was interesting. And it was hilarious, legit hilarious. If it was happening to somebody else, I would be laughing the entire time. I was in constant contact with my family back at the cottage, including Rachel, and they were just dying laughing the entire time, every step of the way. I mean, we could do an entire episode on what went wrong on my trip back from Canada. It was insanity. I can't even begin to sum it up, really. So yeah,
right, we'll save it for another podcast. Summer. I don't mind that idea. Shout out to the stream team for joining us live on YouTube. Smash that like button, leave a comment below the vid, help us defeat the algorithm. And if you haven't, come on, subscribe to No Dunks on YouTube. Keep sending in your questions and comments for the Beach Steppin' podcast when we hit the beach, and answer all your NBA and non-NBA Qs. Send them in, email them in, nodunks@theathletic.com. And finally, go grab your No Dunks merch over at nodunks.com. Shirts and hoodies and shorts and mugs, all the immaculate items you would want over at nodunks.com. Okay, we're going to discuss the Olympic men's basketball results. That final game just wrapping up. Lee, very excited, rocking the yellow and gold there for the Boomers, who will now take on Team USA.
USA
Classic.
Next round.
Classic.
Classic.
I wore this pretty much every day in
Classic
Athens
country.
in 2004, and still holds up. So
Nice.
This is my go-to.
You're about ready to lose the stripes there on the shoulders, man. It looks like you've been wearing it every day since 2004.
Yeah. She was a little bit puffy at the end of the trip to Athens. I tell you what, out there, because it was rather warm, but I was like, I'm wearing it every single day. I don't care what it costs. And, fortunately, I put a bit of the Tide into it, and it's smelling okay these days.
But
you can sell that as a vintage look right now. If you told me that you bought that yesterday, I would have believed you.
Totally.
100%. This is priceless, though. There's no
I
price.
I can smell it from here, my man.
We've got Tweet of the Night, of course, here on the show. But first, let's get into it. NBA free agency officially began last night with teams and players wasting no time coming to terms on big-ass deals throughout the league. How much money was thrown around on day one? Did anybody do that yet? I didn't see a tweet, but I'm sure it was like $1 billion when you add it all up. A lot of guys getting signed there soon after that 6 p.m. Eastern start. So a bunch of questions to try and wrap it up, do the roundup here. We won't get to everything. Apologies in advance. But first question, we'll start with you, Trey, because I see the hat. I see the No Dunks Bulls-inspired T-shirt. Biggest winner from day one of NBA free agency, my man.
Well, it's no surprise, Skeets. The Bulls are winners of free agency. Day one, just like the trade deadline. All praise to AK, but I'm saving my Bulls are back until it actually works out, because we saw what happened at the trade deadline. That being said, just like at the trade deadline, pretty much unanimous acclaim for the Bulls yesterday. Locked in Lonzo Ball basically right away. 4 years, $85 million deal. That's a good price for a good player. But the huge thing is, as a Bulls fan, they didn't give up a ton to give him to get him back. They gave up Tomas Satoransky, Garrett Temple, and a second-round draft pick when it was kind of looking like it was going to be a Lowry Markkanen sign-and trade, double sign-and trade that eventually got Lonzo to the Bulls. But didn't have to give up Markkanen. Still another chip they can play, or maybe even bring him back. We shall see. The big surprise, though, was getting Alex Caruso a few hours later. 4 years, $37 million deal, the full mid-level exception. Kind of similar to Lonzo, to be honest. Brings the defense and shooting, but Caruso gives you a little bit more athleticism rather than passing with Lonzo. I think these guys are both huge upgrades in Chicago's backcourt. The Bulls somehow finished 11th in defense last season, but like we talked about so many times, they were great against terrible teams and bad against good teams. Against the good teams, guard defense, non-existent. Zero resistance at the point of attack, and instantly you're playing downhill against their centers. It was Wendell Carter Jr. early in the year and then Vooch for the second half of the season. These moves, I think, address the defense part pretty well. Gives the Bulls a chance, at least on the defensive end. Vucevic, not a defender, but played on some good defenses in Orlando. So this gives them a chance. And on offense, both Lonzo and Caruso are kind of going to be role players who fit alongside LaVine and Vucevic, bring you a little bit more athleticism, which the Bulls, despite having Zach LaVine, didn't have a ton of athleticism out there. So this helps there. They need some wings. They need some backup big guys. They're either starting Thaddeus Young or Troy Brown Jr. probably as one of their wings. So we'll see a lot of 3-guard lineups. Like I said, they still got a chance to do something with Lowry Markkanen. I'm hesitant to say that the Bulls are back, but it was a great first day in free agency. Sure. It's nice to see your team make a move at the trade deadline, go on a podcast and say, hey, this is a place that people are going to want to sign now. And then they actually do it. They got Alex Caruso from the Lakers, and he's going to be, that's a championship level team. He would have been able to get some money from them, you would think. They're one of the richest franchises out there, and the Bulls pried him away. Yeah, I love it. I was happy, obviously.
Yeah.
How did the Lakers give up Alex Caruso? It really makes no sense. Yeah. This team has been so good defensively the last couple of years. They trade away their best perimeter defender in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, give away Kyle Kuzma, who is a good help defender anyways, and now they're just getting freaking old with all their signings. They go get all their old guys, Dwight Howard, Trevor Ariza, Wayne Ellington, Kent Bazemore, guys that played with them before. So what is this defense anymore? Is it a championship defense with Russell Westbrook eating 1 billion minutes at the point guard spot? I mean, Wesley Matthews and Taylor Horton-Tucker are still there to sign, but Alex Caruso, he was so key for them. And I'm just shocked that 4 years and $37 million is enough to pry him away. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Derek Fisher era. Like somebody would pay him more. Utah paid him more, stealing him away from the Lakers. And he just came back. I don't know if Caruso's going back, but the Lonzo Ball thing, I think was a very good start to the free agency signings. But then I think the Alex Caruso thing just kind of took it over the top because Lonzo Ball is good, but he's more of a help defender. I think Caruso will be the starting point guard on that team. I think they start 3 guys in 3 guards, really, in LaVine and those two. And then Kobe White, to me, because Caruso's in there, goes back to his perfect bench role. So we'll see how it all works out. But I think it's a nice start here. And it looks like, a comparable or a competent defense.
Yeah, universal acclaim, I'd say, too, for the Bulls here on day one, at least, which is maybe rare. Haven't been able to say that a long time when we talk about
No, unfortunately, Skeets, the answer, we actually did get to say this. There was universal acclaim for the Chicago Bulls when they brought in Tomas Satoransky and Thad Young. It looked like last year, or 2 seasons ago, was going to be the season that the Bulls did it. That didn't work because the coach was Jim Boylan. Things have changed since then, but universal acclaim then, universal acclaim at the trade deadline this past year. But I'm telling you, 3rd time's a charm, Skeets. 3rd time is a charm.
Leigh, what do you think of the Bulls' moves here quickly? You liked what they did there, especially the Lonzo Ball part, which is the huge part of this. And is it too much money for either of these guys? You like the fit, like TK saying, alongside LaVine? What do you think?
The Bulls got better, no doubt. How much better, that is remain to be seen because they should be better than a playoff team. I mean, they should be in the playoffs next season, but they've still got a few holes to fill. But I think $4 and $85 million for Lonzo is fine. These days, $20 million a year. Everyone's getting $20 million a year. He has still a consistency issue because he has days where he hits 7 threes and then he goes 0 for 10 the next day, and he's going to continue to do that. But he's a good defensive player. He's a good rebounder. He knows he can get out there and run with Zach LaVine. And Caruso is a good defensive player. The Lakers are going to miss him there. So I think the Bulls 4 years, $37 million. That's nothing really for a guy who has played in a championship and he's played with some experienced vets. So you expect Caruso to bring some of that experience along. Whether or not he starts or comes off the bench, that's also remains to be seen. But I think incremental steps here. Chicago is a team that improved yesterday. So now what will Karnisovas do for to continue to improve the team? Because I don't think they are, certainly not a top 4 team in the East. I think they're probably hovering around that 6 or 7 right now, and that is an improvement from where they ended last season.
What do you think this means for Lowry Marketing, Trey? Like, what's the move with him?
My guess is that the Bulls try and do some sort of sign and trade for some kind of 2-for-1 deal to get like a backup wing and a backup big man. Because I think Markkanen is a player who should be looked at here later in free agency, as teams kind of maybe strike out on their number 1 target. He's still going to be able to shoot 40% from 3, and that's going to be valuable for some team that can use him as a role player. But the Bulls certainly would like to find a little bit more depth. That's my guess, though I guess you could probably talk yourself into bringing Markkanen back at this point, just because you need somebody else out there on the perimeter from a wing standpoint.
Some hot rumors about a doubled sign and trade from the Bulls' perspective with Markkanen and DeMar DeRozan from the Spurs side. Those two, I don't know.
So it's like a double rainbow, eh? Double sign and trade. What does it mean? Tass, let's go to you next here because we got to keep this moving so we can try and touch on a lot of teams. Who do you have as a big winner there from day 1, night 1, whatever you want to call it, of free agency?
Well, Chris Paul is a big winner, no doubt, because he just made a boatload of money for himself. 4 years, $120 million. No one expected a 4th year for Chris Paul to take him to the age of 40. 40 years old will be making $30 million. Opted out of 44 this coming season to say, I'll take 120 and 4. The president of the Players Association showing his members how it's done, no doubt. And if it was just that for the Phoenix Suns, I'd wonder about their depth, because they're good enough, obviously, to make it to the NBA Finals. Great enough. But I would worry about Campaign not being able to be re-signed with all that money going to Chris Paul's direction. But Campaign took a real cheap contract to come back with the Phoenix Suns. Now, Campaign almost out of the league. So you could look at his new contract of $3 and $19 million and say $6 million. That's very, very good per year for a guy who's almost out of the league. But the way he performed in the playoffs, you'd think he'd get more than that. So the Suns bringing him back, and then also addressing their backup center spot, which was a hole on their team, and getting JaVale McGee for $5 million for 1 year. Big win all around. The Phoenix Suns NBA Finals team is back with a strengthened backup center spot. They let Torrey Craig go to the Indiana Pacers. But yeah, they're still extremely deep, and they're extremely deep in the pockets of Chris Paul. Chris Paul's pockets are deep. The guy's making now almost near $500 million over his career, like approximately $450 million over the course of his career. That's a lot of bucks. But, people may say, why don't you give Campaign some of those bucks? Give somebody else some of those bucks. You're the
give him some bucks.
The president. Yeah, I'm locked in on the Bucks talk here. I got a Bucks shirt on. I just realized it's my workout shirt. But I think Chris Paul's going to do a lot of good with that money, more so than a lot of other players in the league. So yeah, he's making a boatload of money, but it's in good hands, I think, with Chris Paul.
No, that's Allstate in good hands. He's State Farm. He's got to share it with Cliff Paul too, so some of that money's going to go to him. Yeah. What did you think, Leigh? We were a little surprised by, like Tass said. Do we know the details, Tass, on the 4th year? Has that been shared?
Whether
like,
it's
is it fully guaranteed?
I don't know.
I'm guessing
either.
Chris Paul holds the leverage in that. I just feel that he would. I don't think it's a team option, or if it is, it's maybe a $15 million buyout or something like that. But yeah, the Suns, this was their most important thing to lock up Chris Paul. And I think you said, Skeetsy, you were thinking about $120 million. So good call there.
Well, no, we were talking. We thought it would be a 3-year deal.
Yeah.
There were reports of 90. You guys were kicking around 100 on yesterday's show. I said, I think it's going to be more. Didn't see the 4th year coming though. And when I mean more, I wasn't saying, I actually didn't think 120. I thought, maybe it's 3-110, 3-105, something like that. But in the end, it's 4-120, and we don't really know the exact details on that last one. But I'm with you, Leigh. It's very possible that it's fully guaranteed. I mean, I don't know. It might be an option in there. Who knows? But yeah, Suns running it back. Get Cam cheap. Get JaVale back up big, like Tess said. Pretty good day overall. Would you give him a thumbs up?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I say, they got so close to the final, or to the championship, that it was really interesting to see whether or not the front office would now sort of say, all right, we have to invest in this team, and they did that because, again, if they'd let Chris Paul go and if he'd signed with, let's say the Lakers, I think that would have signaled to the team that they weren't really all in. They were just like, oh well, we got a good playoff run out of it, that was good enough, and now we'll sort of try to save a bit of money and still see if we can still compete with the roster we have. Instead, they go, okay, we're gonna try to ride this thing as long as we can, and I think that's a good move. I think it shows, especially to Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, their two franchise pieces, that the franchise is committed to trying to win and to not just enjoy that one good season. So I think that's important, and because Devin Booker must be up for another extension in the next year or so anyway, and this was his first playoff success, his first time in the playoffs. And you know that he doesn't want to go back to those seasons of just winning 30 games again. And in order to do that, you have to put a strong team on the court, and the Suns are doing that.
My big winner from last night, first couple of hours there of free agency, I think it's got to be the Heat. Because if we're looking at it right now, they got the best player. Chris Paul staying with the Suns, and Kawhi, we don't know yet, but Kyle Lowry high on the available free agents list, and the Heat get him. They get the GOAT, greatest Raptor of all time, sign and trade as expected. Goran Dragic, Precious Achiuwa coming to the Raptors. Maybe Lowry doing them a little final solid there on his way out. Count that assist on his all-time Raptors assist leaderboard there. But the Heat also got defensive forward, NBA champ, dog, PJ Tucker. Love that. 2 years, $15 million. Sort of like automatically takes over like the old Jay Crowder or Trevor Ariza type of role there. You could see that making sense. They re-signed sharpshooter Duncan Robinson, 5-year, $90 million. People are saying the largest contract ever for an undrafted player, which total number 90 million true, but I think Van Vliet still made more per year when you break it down, if you want to get into the nitty gritty there. But unbelievable deal for Duncan Robinson. And then according to reports, Trey, they're also progressing toward a maximum contract extension with Jimmy Butler that could be up to $184 million over 4 years. Whole point of this is they are going for it. I mean, a couple of these deals, Butler's extension, even Lowry, if we're being honest, maybe even Duncan Robinson at the back end of it, you're like, oh, wow, that's a lot of money. But for the first year or two with Bam, of course, Butler, Tyler Hero probably coming off the bench now, PJ Tucker, like I said, like they're in it to win it, and where they fall in terms of like the Bucks and the Nets, if healthy in the Eastern Conference, we'll see. But I mean, they think they can win a title, and I think they're a big winner because they're going for it, and they managed to do all of this without going over the luxury tax, which is pretty impressive too.
Yeah, made a lot of great moves, and like you, Skeets, I'm a fan of all of these moves, and it still leaves me feeling a little bit nervous because, like you're saying, the Heat are going all in on the Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry timeline more so than the Bam Adebayo timeline. Like, this is going to be the Heat's team here for at least a couple of seasons, and we just saw them get swept out of the playoffs. They didn't look like they had a chance against the Milwaukee Bucks. We know they don't have their draft picks because of the Goran Dragic trade from a few years ago. Pretty weird to think about. And now you're rolling out there with a 35-year-old and a 32-year-old in your backcourt, hoping that they click instantly so that you can get back to title contending status. I mean, I don't know. That's what I think. The Heat made all the right moves yesterday. I would have signed Duncan Robinson for a big deal as well. He's one of the best shooters we've seen in the league. Kyle Lowry, the premier free agent out there, and Jimmy Butler, a culture setter and a leader for the Miami Heat. But, I mean, are they now going to just lock themselves into being the third best team in the Eastern Conference for the next 3 seasons? It feels a little bit like that, but also 2 thumbs up because you did exactly what you should have done yesterday.
Yeah, I mean,
weird.
They're already a top 10 defense, and now you're adding Lowry and Tucker to the mix. Like, holy shit. Like, what a lineup that they, in theory, could have out there, Tass, where it is Lowry, Butler, then a shooter in Duncan or Tyler Hero if you want at the end of the game, and then a Tucker and Bam. Like, what that's 4, like, really sort of elite defenders at their position, and then, you know, a sharpshooter in a Duncan or a Tyler. But what did you make of the Heat's moves yesterday?
Yeah, it's all whether you believe that bubble Heat team was a fluke or whether it's for real. And, you know, we saw the Lakers get bounced in the first round here after making the finals in the bubble. And same goes for the Heat. And I think after a real offseason, the Heat will be a lot closer to that bubble Heat team, especially with the gritty dudes that they brought in and PJ Tucker and Kyle Lowry. They're a top-heavy team, sure, but I think the surprising part, even though 3 for 90 for Kyle Lowry at 36, yeah, it's a lot. I was the Jimmy Butler coming out of nowhere, 4 for a huge number there. It's going to take him from ages 32 to 36. But we're seeing Chris Paul opt out of his deal at the end of it. We're seeing John Wall being able to be traded, Russell Westbrook able to be traded. So this is going to be their team for a couple of years. And then Jimmy Butler, I think with a year or whatever left on his deal, could still be moved. I think, 1 year or 2 years left. Like, they're not planning on trading Big Face Coffee anytime soon. This is their team going forward, but I don't think it hampers them at all. It is odd, as Trey said. You got Bam, one of the best bigs in the league as a young guy, and then the oldies on the other end, but I think they could play together. I just watched Bam Adebayo play the center role perfectly, like the Draymond Green role perfectly for Team USA in their quarterfinals game over Spain, where he's going to set the pick as a big man, get the ball at the elbow, like he's Pau or Marc Gasol, and then find guys. And he had a bad playoffs, no doubt, this past season. But when you see all those parts and you think about them individually on the Heat, like, that should work really, really well. And Bam, I think, is able to set all those guys up. And as long as they can step up and score, I mean, yeah, Jimmy just faded last year, but I think you could just give them the benefit of the doubt that it was just a bad little run there.
I think it comes down to Bam and Hero. They really need to take a step forward. Bam, like, I remember, Skeets, how many times last season you said, is Bam Adebayo having a good season? Like, it was impossible to tell. Like, he does it all defensively. He moves the ball, like Tess is saying, offensively. He can score a little bit. There are times when he's not very aggressive going to the hoop, and, you're like, come on, Bam, let's see the offensive skills that we know you have. He needs to be consistent every night, and Hero's another big one. These are their two young pieces that are now around, but they can't just be young developmental guys that are kind of on the verge of all-star berths, right? They need to be contending for all-star berths. They need to be like consistent top 6 competitors every single night. It can't be this kind of upsy-downsy kind of stuff, because you're going to get consistent performances from Butler and Lowry, despite the fact that they're older guys, and there are probably going to be times when they miss some time. The growth now comes from the young guys on the Heat, so we need to see it.
Yeah, Lee, what did you think of the Miami's moves here and their chances to compete for a title again?
We're not capologists here, but when I saw Lowry signing for $90 million, Duncan Robinson signing for $90 million, Jimmy Butler signing for $184 million, obviously it's not all in one season, but you're like, I just don't get how it all, because Bam just signed his extension as well. Like, their salary cap in 3 years must be like $260 million already. It just feels like that because everyone's getting paid. But look, the Heat seem to be the team that kind of always get who they go for. They just seem to be able to get it done. Pat Riley and Andy Ellisberg there in the front office, they have a way of getting what they want. And they did that yesterday by basically, again, Dragic was gone, Iguodala they didn't re-sign. So those guys were out the door. They basically had to give up Precious Achiuwa, and that was it. And
Nunn's probably gone as well.
Yeah, and that's right. Nunn they probably can't keep as well, but that's like fine. They can of Nunn, Robinson, and Hero. Nunn's the one you can afford to lose. So Nunn's on the run, basically. But no, I mean that's the thing. Like they keep their core pieces. They add some veterans who play solid, tough defense in Lowry and PJ Tucker, and they also say, "All right, Jimmy, we're going to lock you up with $184 million." So, but they're not automatically, I don't think, top 3 in the East. So they've still got to prove it on the court because, the one question is signing 35-year-old guys. I mean, you don't expect Lowry and PJ Tucker to continue to improve. You're going to get good, tough play out of them. But, very few players get better at this age. And especially when you are looking for Lowry more so than Tucker to play a big role and play heavy minutes. So we'll see how it all comes together. But as I say, they sort of got what they wanted out of it, and that's what the whole objective for every team is yesterday.
I feel like got comfortable with seeing guys making the 40 million plus in one season. I had just come to be like, yeah, that's sort of normal in today's NBA. You guys got to get a $40 million deal and the $40 million. And now I've got to get used to seeing the 5 there, Trey, because now like Jimmy Butler, I think in the last year it's over 50 million. Beal's headed that way. There's many other guys. It's like, whoa. It's like it's just like seeing the 1-year number is really eye-opening. So yeah, some of these guys already were at that the 50 there plus in one of these years in the future.
Yeah, 2 of the most hallowed numbers in the NBA for me are a $50 million contract and a player born in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Weird stuff, but we've crossed the threshold both ways.
Yeah.
We have.
And just to jump back,
Yeah.
when the Heat signed their big 3 way back in the day, and the money was a lot less to sign Bosh, LeBron, and Wade, that took them to the salary cap. And as Lee said, they're paying a boatload of money for their top 5 guys. And then top 6 with Tyler Hero. It's the same sort of scenario. They got to get guys on the cheap. They got Dwayne Dedmon yesterday as well. But I think just like those teams back then that you saw guys looking for a ring. I know people don't necessarily think the Heat are right there, but I think they will. I think they have enough of the reputation that they'll be able to give Brooklyn and Milwaukee enough of a fight. So there will be guys like Melo possibly, or somebody on the cheap that just looks at this team and says, all right, I'm ready to drop some threes for you off the bench, because they need people, they need players,
They need bodies.
they need contracts because they're loaded.
Yeah,
up
a
top.
lot of vet minimum contracts will be signed there in Miami. What about Paul Millsap? Is he a possibility? Paul Millsap
Probably,
go down
probably.
in Miami? Yeah, Melo's a good call. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be like the Lakers, the Nets, the Heat, and maybe the Bucks. Like, to me, a lot of these teams vying for these guys on the cheap. Like some of these guys on the fringes, like, come on, we need some help here. You can actually get some minutes here for us on a second unit, and you never know what happens in a playoff series. Somebody goes down with an injury, so come play for us. And I'm sure they'll be able to coax a couple people down there to Miami. I'm with you, Tass. A good day. Look, the Lowry part of the deal, leaving our Toronto Raptors, Tass, I feel like we don't need to go over this like a whole lot. The eulogy was already like sort of shared back at the deadline, and we knew this was happening. You and I were pretty convinced he was ultimately getting moved. But anything to add with Kyle Lowry having played his last game ever, possibly ever, for the Toronto Raptors? I guess it was a big win against the Lakers, was it not? Wearing the purples Raptors jersey in a dominant. I think he had like a 35-point game in that one. He had a wicked game. But anyway, as Lowry moves on, what do you think of the return and what they do with Dragic and the Gary Trent Jr. signing and all that from a Raptors fan's perspective?
Big win against the Lakers. Forgot about that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was Lowry's last game.
You're right, yeah.
I think it was, yeah.
Listen, the greatest Raptor of all time, the GROAT. It's a great acronym, but to me, what's not talked about enough is that acronym as it should be standing for the greatest rump of all time. Kyle Lowry's rump. Put it in the hall, baby, in that crazy wing with Zaza Pachulia's monstrous head, and different body parts as we all have adored over the last.
Alonzo Mourning's biceps.
Yes. Give him the biceps.
Whose fingers get to go in?
Lionel Hollins.
Yeah.
Sean Marion.
Sean Marion. Yeah. Well done. Well
Okay,
done.
but you want the rump. You want the
Old
rump
skinny foot Durant. Yeah. Well, listen, they got something back. That's all the Raptors fans could ask for. Goran Dragic, I guess, should move on. I could see him as a Dallas Maverick. It sure feels that way. Like he's going to go join his countryman Luka Doncic at some point.
Okay, what about this? If this report was true, that Masai Ujiri had the option to pick between Tyler Hero and Precious Achiuwa. If that's true.
What a report.
Yeah, and he takes Precious over Tyler Hero. Again, I don't know how actual legit that is, but what do you think of that? I mean, you talked a little bit yesterday about being a fan of Precious Achiuwa, right, Ted?
And I'm a fan of Masai Ujiri, so if he wants to do that, he has won a championship for the Toronto Raptors. It's up to him. I don't know if you can legitimately buy this report, but they
needed a
I can't put too much stock
into it. Makes sense.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
But Tyler Hero has done more in the league, although it's not a lot. I'm a Precious Achiuwa fan. Let's see it. I want to see this lineup of all perimeter players. Precious Achiuwa, confident dude, blocked Kevin Durant when Nigeria played USA, Instagrammed about it. Half the game is the mental. Let's go.
And just while we're talking Raps, again, Tass, Gary Trent Jr., Felt like that was a fair deal. 3 years, $54 million, I believe, is being reported. Were you surprised by that number at all, or is that right sort of in the wheelhouse?
I think it's good for everybody involved. Handshake emoji on that one. I
Nice.
think he gets paid. Raps got a solid guy, and it makes sense. It's funny that it's a similar contract to what Norman Powell got from the Blazers, and that they were just traded for each other. But Trent Jr. a lot younger, and I think everybody did well in this transaction. Masai Ujiri again on his way out the door, possibly. It's so funny watching Masai Ujiri as Raptors fans are hyperventilating whether or not he's going to leave. He's just calmly in these videos in the war rooms, just making these moves, and then he's just going to stroll on out the door if he wants, or he might stay. I don't know. He's pulling off good moves. I think the Trent move should be applauded by everybody. I'm sure you guys agree.
Yeah, I got no problem
At
with it.
that
It's exactly the money I thought he was going to get. And like you said, Norm ends up getting what, 5 for 90? Was it in the end? Leigh, is that your big winner? Norman Powell just getting some cash?
Look, that was the question. The Raptors traded him because they basically didn't want to have to pay him that much. The Blazers do. Norm earns it. Norm is a little bit up and down at times. He's a good shooter when he can get going. He had a good couple of seasons, the last 2 seasons. Doesn't give you a whole lot else, but he's in a good situation there, I think, in Portland. And if he continues to improve, he'll make that contract seem like a bargain, I think. But if he sort of beats the norm where he does go missing for games at a time, it might be a little bit frustrating there for the Blazers. But look, when you make a trade like that, you sort of almost have to sign the guy to show that you were making the trade for the right reasons. It wasn't just a sort of trade for the hell of it. The Raptors get Gary Trent. I think, again, he deserved that. He earned that. And I think Norm can be really good in the right situation alongside Damian Lillard there. He went over with a third of the season to go, and he seemed to play pretty well. So I'm happy for Norm. I'm happy he got his bucks. And I think Raptors fans, I mean, look, I know he drove them crazy at times, but they're happy to see him get rewarded, I think. So good on you, Norm. It's similar to Duncan Robinson, I think. Just, those guys, they got paid. And, it's good on them. You got to back yourself, and they did.
As for, I just want to go back to PJ Tucker with the Heat there. People are like, why isn't he staying in Milwaukee? They just won a championship. The owners don't want to pay the money is what it comes down to. Because if he, got a deal for like $7 million from Milwaukee, it would have cost the Bucks $23 million in tax. And so now you're looking at a $30 million bill for a guy like PJ Tucker. Now, you might be able to say, especially if you're a Bucks fan, well, why the hell wouldn't you do that? I mean, you should do that. You just want a title. You're billionaires, first off. Nobody's going to cry for these guys. You should pony up, especially for a guy that helped you win a championship like PJ Tucker coming over there. So they did it. They brought back BJ. They brought back Bobby, BJ Porter. Bobby
BJ
Portis
Porter.
on a good deal. But this is why Tucker's not there. Just make that very clear. They didn't want to go into that luxury tax bill, and so they just didn't want to pay the money.
Yeah, the owners cheaped out. That's why.
Yeah.
Which,
exactly.
fair enough. But I mean, we just saw the Warriors pay how much for Kelly Oubre last year? $80 million for a team that ended up in the lottery. You could easily regret this if you're the Bucks.
Yeah. And PJ was good, but they can afford to lose him, though, I think, as well. He was solid in his role there, but if they can replace him, I think Bobby was the more important signing for them because Bobby was pretty good for them. So I think that's it. They can probably replace PJ's minutes with another vet out there somewhere. So I can see people sort of upset. They owners have got the Bucks for sure, but pardon the pun. But it's also, I don't think it's not a disaster for Milwaukee that the PJ's not coming back. I think they'll be able to cope without him.
Yeah, the Milwaukee's fans got to be hurt, though, because PJ Tucker is hurt. This is what he Instagrammed after he signed with the Heat. His caption was, quote, "Today took a hard turn on the road of my career, but like my grandma used to tell me, all you can control is what you can control." So he expected to come back. Now they've signed Shemi Ojeleye. I don't know if that's the direct guy who's going to be in that starting lineup. But Dante DiVincenzo comes back, and I do agree with Leigh. Right now, at this second, it might seem a little heavy for the Bucks that they don't want to pay what would have been a $30 million bill when all is said and done with that luxury tax bill. It's not quite 80 Kelly Oubre, but I think it is replaceable in the end. But Shemi Ojeleye is not that guy. PJ Tucker did do a good job on Kevin Durant in that second series, and he somehow stayed on the floor. But they can figure out a way, and they get the discount. Bobby Portis, 2 years, $9 million after helping them win the trophy.
Oh, that's nothing.
Great.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
nothing. Yeah.
All right, this is a fun question in terms of free agency. Wildest WTF deal from last night. Leigh, let's you get us started here with this one. Which deal had you going? What? How much? To which team? Whatever reason. Where you go?
Well, the Knicks entered free agency with the most cap space available. And I don't really think they did a whole lot with it. Their biggest signing turned out to be Evan Fournier, 4 years and $80 million. Now, Fournier's young. He's 28, I think. And he can shoot. He's a decent offensive player. He struggled when he went to Boston last season. But again, you get traded mid-season. It's hard to sort of immediately come in and have an impact there. Now, the Knicks, though, I sort of feel in general, their season was great. Their regular season was fantastic. Finished fourth in the East. And their defense was incredible. But I think they were punching well above their weight as they got exposed in the playoffs. I mean, they won one game against the Hawks and were out in 5 games. So they bring in a guy who's like, a good player, but I mean, I think if you're the Knicks, you're probably like, I don't really think Fournier sort of does all that much. Now he can go and get his own shot, and that's what they did miss in the playoffs. They really sort of had no one else who could go and create for themselves. But how much does Fournier sort of do that? Now, 4 years and $20 million a year, that's in the NBA. You can move that contract around fairly easily. So it's not like a cap killer in that sense. I just sort of don't think the Knicks in general had an outstanding day. They basically ran back the same team, except for Reggie Bullock. But again, that got sort of found out in the playoffs to be actually not that good. So I think they probably needed to make a bit bigger of a splash yesterday. And listen,
what's the splash? This is my only pushback, because I keep seeing this. People are like, wow, they had $50 million in cap space. They ended up giving it to Fournier and then 3 guys they already had. They just paid more money. Rose,
Noel,
3 years,
Burks.
$43 million. Burks, 3 years, $30 million. And then Nerlens Noel, 3 years, $32 million. But what was the other move? That like realistic move? Kawhi's not coming to the Knicks. I'm sorry, that's not happening. Chris Paul was not, I guess, coming to the Knicks either. So it's like, where was that money, that splash going to happen?
Yeah, well,
who was jumping in the pool?
Well, maybe no one, but it just sort of felt a little bit to me like the Carlos Boozer to the Bulls in the 2010 season, where it's like, we've got to spend it on somebody. And Fournier was their most expensive signing. So I just don't think they improved, really, the Knicks yesterday, and I think they needed to. Now, yeah, of course, who is that splash? Maybe the Knicks tried, and maybe they just couldn't get anyone there. But this is the thing, the Knicks being back, we sort of thought, well, big franchise, big city, they will now attract that talent because they're playing well, but they apparently weren't able to, or Tibbs is just too loyal to his own guys. Maybe that's the problem there, because, again, Rose was their second best player when he came over in the trade, which is not a good sign for the Knicks, really. I mean, credit to Derrick Rose for playing well, but 3 years and $40 million. And then Alec Burks, what did he get in the end? I can't remember.
3 for 30.
Yeah, he's getting 10 a year.
And then Nerlens Noel, $32 million for 4 years.
Well, these guys they all played really well for the Knicks.
Yeah.
And then they got paid for it. I mean,
but that's a problem, I think, because I just don't think they improved yesterday, and I think they really needed to after their playoff failure. It was in the end.
Yeah. Last year, the Knicks signed these couple of these guys we've mentioned to 1-year deals, and it looked fine because they're not locking up their cap room for several years, but now they are because they handed out $183 million yesterday to essentially have the same team. Now, in the playoffs, if Evan Fournier is on the floor and Julius Randle's shot's not going, is Evan Fournier going to bail you out? I guess in theory, yeah, but I'm just not buying it. I like Evan Fournier, nice fella, but in 2016, when all the money was being handed out to everybody and their moms, Jan Mahimi was getting a contract, Batum was getting a contract because the salary cap spike. Evan Fournier got 5 for 85 from the Orlando Magic. The contract expired yesterday, and boom, he gets a similar type of deal from the New York Knicks. Who are they bidding against? I don't think anybody. I think they made this team fine, and it's going to be their team for a couple of years, and that's the disappointing part. They just kind of locked up everything for an okay team. And Derrick Rose, 3 for 43. Guess he earned it. Burks is a fine guy coming off the bench. You can move that. Nerlens Noel, 3 for 32. He wasn't really even able to start in the playoffs. He was a little banged up, but he was coming off the bench. Now you're paying him as a starter. Mitchell Robinson's your backup. I it's just a real big bag of meh for me.
I understand that, but again, I just push back with like, what else did you want them to do here? Really, just leave it, or just try and get all these guys to sign 1-year deals again? Yeah, good luck with that, because they had played their way into, decent NBA deals. That's what they've proven here. Those 3 guys that we're talking about, Rose, Burks, and Nerlens. Well,
I think the problem is Fournier, right?
What's that?
The problem is Fournier for 4 years.
Yeah,
That's a long time for Fournier.
So, would you rather have DeRozan on more money? Let's say, you would.
If it was shorter, I mean, the length of it is the problem for me. 4 years for Fournier is going to be a problem when he's 32 years old. You're not going to be wanting to pay him $20 million at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess maybe it's easier to trade him. Maybe that's the huge thing, is that they have a $20 million trade chip now that can soak up some possessions offensively. Fournier has been brutal in the playoffs, so I don't think he's going to be the answer there. You got to hope Julius Randle bounces back, has another all-NBA season. We will see if that's the case. And you got to hope for growth from a guy like Emmanuel Quickley. Maybe he can start into the starting point guard role, right? Yeah, and maybe Barrett can be a little bit more of a creator, but I don't know. 4 for 80 seems like a lot for Evan Fournier at the back end of it, though. If it's easy to throw a $20 million guy into a trade along with a couple of other $10 million contracts in Noel and who else? Alec Burks. You could do that if you're trying to get to like a Damian Lillard's number eventually at some point. So that's probably the reason. I would have preferred a little bit more flexibility, but that's what the Knicks have been doing for the past couple of seasons. They're not getting any free agents right now except for your Fourniers. So maybe it's better to just keep some more Lego-like pieces around.
Tass, let's keep it going here. What's another team or deal that had you going WTF? What was that all about? What do you got?
Well, I think the Hornets are sort of similar to the Knicks in that, some of these contracts that they surrounded Zion Williamson with are okay in a vacuum. But
Pelicans.
Oh yeah, the New Orleans. I'm thinking about Chris Paul going crossover in an old New Orleans Hornets jersey.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the New Orleans Pelicans. Yeah, thanks for the correction, because I just see the teal, and I'm just thinking.
Well, they got
back
a Hornets
in the day.
player there yesterday.
They did,
Maybe
they did for sure. Yeah, but are they making Zion Williamson happy by going to get Devontae Graham for 47? They have to give up a first-round pick. I'm a big Devontae Graham backer, but now you're kind of, putting a lot of stock into a guy who hasn't had a very stable, consistent career, and they give up Lonzo Ball in a sign and trade to get Tomas Satoransky and solid Garrett Temple back. So all in all, when you look at this offseason for New Orleans, Jonas Valanciunas comes in as they shed contracts with Eric Bledsoe and Steven Adams going out. They get an outside shooter in Trey, don't call me Troy Murphy, and Herb Jones, who's a defensive specialist.
Who's a football coach for the Alabama squad.
Yeah.
Herb Jones. I love
Jones. Herb Williams. Best Herb in sports history. I like Herb Williams, former coach and
the best
player in
Herb
the league.
since I was over at Trey's house, out on the porch with him late at night.
Al Harrington, Herbing it up. Anyways, to me, Zion Williamson, I don't think can be all that pumped. Valanciunas
this is horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, they got off of Bledsoe, and that's one of the positives. Valanciunas not as much as people think. Upgrade on Steven Adams, fine, but he's not giving Zion Williamson space. You just got to hope Devontae Graham and Trey Murphy are lighting it up. And I don't know, you're kind of just dreaming. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker has to be a bigger player, but you're hoping for a lot of ifs, in my opinion here. Man,
did Griff and the Pelicans organization legit just hate Lonzo Ball? This is all I keep coming back.
I don't get it.
This is confusing, because by all accounts, Zion liked him. I mean, he's talked up about like how him and Brandon were like the future of the team and they were building something there. And it's like, what? It's like these moves. Devontae Graham, I'm sorry. He's one of the most overrated players in this league. He had like one good stretch. He played great for 45 days. And suddenly like everyone's like,
playoff.
And look, he is super streaky. I'll give him that. He is a guy that can hit 10 threes in a game. And you're like, whoa. And then he'll go a whole bunch of games where he can't hit a shot. Like, he is not a great shooter. He's not a sharpshooter. That's for damn sure.
He just wants to chuck it up, though. And that's the big thing for the Pelicans is having somebody who's willing to take those threes because Zion doesn't want to take him. Ingram is not necessarily a three-point shooter, though he can shoot him well enough. Lonzo made himself into a three-point shooter, but he finally started shooting them last year, like actually getting them up. I guess, though, at least Graham attempts them is the thinking here. Maybe he got to keep them honest out there, one of the craziest things. But they traded a first-round pick. That's wild to me. They could have just matched Lonzo's contract, brought him back. I think he was a great fit next to Zion. Obviously, Griffin doesn't think so, but this has been a very weird, very, very weird offseason for New Orleans.
Yeah, they're on a lot of people's lists here today, like the losers list, I guess, from free agency, just some of these moves they've made. Leigh, anything to add to what they're doing down there? Are you just as confused?
Yeah, and disappointed for them, really, because, Zion has had 2 seasons, and you wanted to see this season be the one where it's like, okay, now they've got some legit, credentials here to get into the playoffs and make some noise before Zion's rookie contract extension can kick in there. But instead, I think they have taken a step back for sure. Devontae Graham, that 45-day stretch, there was all-star buzz about that.
I know, man. And people are still talking about it, obviously.
Yeah. 37% the last couple of seasons from 3. So that's...
and from the field, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's a modern-day type of guy who's like, okay, I can get those threes up. But, yeah, it's sometimes he could have... He's the type of guy who could have 40 points, but your team could still lose by 20, I think. He doesn't really, really drag a team to victory. So... 4 years, 47,
it's not crazy.
And listen, if he does become
but I'd rather have Lonzo Ball, like Trey said.
100%.
I'd rather a guy who can play some defense and is getting better and is young.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, Lonzo definitely has his drawbacks as far as his consistency there. But the thing with Devontae, if he was to somehow become a very reliable, consistent shooter, then that contract is going to look great. But it's after 3 seasons, it's like he definitely comes in and out and not sure you can really rely on him to be consistent.
He's got a good fantasy team, though. Griff is building a solid fantasy team, I think. We had a good fantasy question from a man, Rhino Sets. Would you rather have Devontae Graham in a keeper league? So 5 years of Devontae Graham or 5 years of Kobe White? Ooh, I said Devontae Graham, and I'm still okay with it. I'm still okay with it right now.
Yeah. You're saying Devontae is how you said to us? Yeah.
Yeah. He's putting up the numbers. And in this backcourt here with the Pelicans, Nickeil Alexander-Walker himself.
What did Kobe shoot from 3 last year?
I mean, he's a Devontae Graham. He definitely is. He wants to get him up, and sometimes they're on fire. I think I would barely would take Kobe just because there's a chance he has of popping in the next 5 years. Where I think we're trying to get back to those 45 days for Devontae Graham. But I don't know. Not only did Zion say he wished that Lonzo was back, didn't he last season say that he wished Nickeil Alexander-Walker was playing more?
Yeah.
Are we just not going to listen to anything the guy says about who's getting in the ball?
Yeah, I don't. It's very confusing. I mean, I guess it's still in theory with Lonzo moving. There's more minutes there to be had for Alexander Walker. But yeah, Devontae coming in there, he's going to get his shots. That's what he does. That's why he's out there. Weird first couple hours there, or last couple days really, for the Pelicans and the decisions they're making. We'll see if it pans out. Trey, let's wrap this up before we take a break here until we get to more questions about free agency. But do you have a big WTF deal or a team or decisions being made?
Not so much a WTF. Fantasia hit on it earlier, but the Lakers are really getting the band back together out there. And it's not so much WTF because you see this happen with super teams. You got to fill out the back of the roster. And it's often old guys, but man, 4 signings for the Lakers yesterday, all of them over 30, all former Lakers. Kent Bazemore, 32, second time. Drano Wayno Ellington, 33, his second run. Trevor Ariza is back at 36, first time since 2009 he'll be a Laker. And Dwight Howard at 35 is there for the third time. 55 seasons of combined NBA experience, average age of 34. And that's why I think Dave DeFore nailed it with his tweet last night. Calling the Lakers the Expendables. A cosmic gumbo of old dudes reliving the glory days. Sometimes it works. Rondo and Dwight were great in 2020. Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't. Wes Matthews and Marc Gasol were not great last year, but the Lakers are getting old. Every player they've lost in the offseason is under 30. Montrezl Harrell, Kyle Kuzma, KCP, Caruso, likely Dennis Schroeder and Andre Drummond. Everybody they brought in, Russell Westbrook included, over 30. Of the guys they signed yesterday, I would think only Dwight really has an impact for the Lakers. I mean, maybe Wayne Ellington will hit 6 threes in one game, but I don't foresee him playing playoff minutes. They've still got a couple of moves they can make. They got matching rights on THT. They got their MLE. They got to make those count. Otherwise, we're looking at a lot of Dolph Lundgren and Randy Couture out there.
Is that movie good? People,
I saw the first one in a theater. I think they're like 4 or 5 deep. No.
Wait, hold on. They made 4 or 5 of these movies?
They've made a ton of Expendables.
What?
I didn't know that at all. I thought maybe
Yeah.
too. I didn't know it was a franchise. We're going to have to do that series after we do Fast and the Furious?
Yeah, that's next summer.
Okay.
I thought that was Tropic Thunder when Dave DeFore
Yeah.
tweeted that. My mistake.
I guess you haven't seen the movie either. Any of the movies from this
None of the
amazing
4.
franchise.
They are expendable for me.
Yeah.
What, I mean, we already sort of talked about like how baffling the decision it was to not, pay Caruso task. But what do you think about the guys they're bringing in here? All these former Lakers.
I guess, as Trey mentioned, Dwight is the backup center for Marc Gasol now. He will probably make a difference here in his 3rd stint with the Lakers, which is wild to say.
Yeah.
But beyond that, Kent Bazemore could chip in as a wing. I mean, he was pretty good. Hit a really good percentage of his threes last year with Golden State, and took a bit of a pay cut to go to the Lakers.
Yeah, threw some shade, I thought, there at the Warriors on his way out.
Yeah, they were still trying to save money, but I don't get it. I don't get it in general. They became such a top-heavy team with Russell Westbrook as their 3rd guy, and Russell Westbrook's going to eat a lot of minutes. Why not have grinders beside him like Alex Caruso? To me, that's the biggest question mark. Rob Pelinka really going for it. This feels a little bit like Dave Griffin and the Cavs going for it in LeBron's last years, leaving the cupboard pretty bare. They obviously have to keep Talen Horton-Tucker, but Talen Horton-Tucker wasn't winning championships with this team. He was on the end of the second string unit. He wasn't the guy playing out there. So to me, it's a real WTF as a whole. Just like me, I wouldn't have gone through all of these WTF moments, all these Lakers moments if I knew it was in the dock, Trey. That's my bad. I was watching USA Spain this morning, and I didn't see that Trey had thrown this in. The Lakers just go behind the scenes here. But that's my bad. That's really my bad. Really,
I think we played
my
it
bad.
smooth. You gave us a little taste early. Yeah. I came in for the sequel, just like the Expendables. We'll be getting to part 3 later on in the tweet of the night.
Yeah. Okay, great. Nice tease there. Well, let's take a break. We got lots more to talk about still. We'll get to some of our favorite minor deals, and we'll go over who's left on the free agent market. That might be informative for some of you joining us here live. But we got to take a break, pay the bills. I don't even know who's up. JD,
JD.
I think it's me. It's
You're gonna
me.
Sell me some cereal or something like that.
Oh, yeah. So I just got back from the cottage where the rules are similar to Trey Kirby's airport policy. Anything goes when it comes to food, right?
Yep.
Especially during breakfast. And as a kid, that was the one time of the year that we could get whatever cereal we wanted. And this last week, my mom picked up this monstrosity for the kids this year. Timbit cereal. I had no idea this was a thing. I mean, just have cake for breakfast and get it over with,
It's just
right?
chocolate in a box.
Exactly.
I love the top of the box, though. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
It is
cool.
pretty cool. It's sort of an optical illusion. It actually looks like a Timbit box. But, I mean, just have the real thing. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I had cake for breakfast at least twice at the cottage. But you know what? I was on vacation. You can't eat like that every day. Or can you? I'm talking about Magic Spoon. Only 140 calories a serving, 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs. It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, and low-carb. And you can build your own box or get a variety pack with all available flavors: cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, blueberry, and cinnamon. And good news, weirdos, you can have your cake and eat it too, because Magic Spoon is bringing back 2 super popular flavors permanently: cookies and cream and maple waffle. Wow. Apparently, the limited run of both of these flavors sold out really, really fast. And I guess I'm going to have to get off my high horse and give them a try, because I was very anti-maple waffle. Just have a waffle in my mind. But you know what? The people have spoken and they want maple waffle cereal. So go to magicspoon.com/no-dunks to grab your new delicious cereal and try it today. And be sure to use our promo code NODUNKS at checkout to save $5 off your order. Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed by a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. You don't have to say, guys, you flew too close to the sun with maple. I want my money back. You don't even have to say that. They'll give it to you back. Remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/no-dunks and use the code NODUNKS to get $5 off. Thank you, Magic Spoon, for sponsoring this episode.
Yeah, well, US sports right now, one of the brief it's time to turn our attention to the world of golf. And this month, we have teamed up with the RNA to offer you the chance to grab a once-in-a-lifetime experience to be at one of golf's most imperious events and locations in 2022. Now, in 2002, I was in Scotland for the British Open, Muirfield. That's the great photo. You know, when I'm standing there with the arms by the side there, pouring down with the rain. Because the British Open moves around. It's not like the Masters. It moves all around England and Scotland and Wales each time. So this is the one you want to get in on, because off the back of Colin Morikawa's fantastic win at the 149th Open at Royal St. George's, England, we're giving our listeners a chance to be at St. Andrews, Scotland for the 150th Open next summer. Along with Colin, who will be defending his crown. You'll see the likes of Tiger Woods, likely, Rory McIlroy, Phil Mickelson battle it out to see who'll be the champion golfer of 2022. And you and your friends and family can be there by entering the ballot today at theopen.com/the athletic. Now, if any of my friends or family enter, I'm coming with you, okay? That's the rule. I don't care anything about anything else. I'm going with you, because the Open is one of the most prestigious events in sport. And this 150th Open at St. Andrews in 2022 will be even more so. So for your chance to be there, head to theopen.com/the athletic and enter the ballot for the 150th Open at St. Andrews in 2022 today. That's theopen.com/the athletic. And I will be entering as Lee Ellis, Ellis. So I'll see if I can slip that one under there, because honestly, this would be a trip of a lifetime. This is the one you want to get in on if you're a golf fan. And,
Good time to get in.
Great time to get in, because I believe St. Andrews, it's not a private course. I believe you can actually pay to play as just a person from the public. I'm not sure if they changed that, but certainly that used to be the case. But I mean, I'd probably shoot 350 on a professional course like that, but it would be worth it. It would be worth it. So yeah, get in on that. That's the one you want. That's the one you want to get in on, man.
Get in on it already.
Yeah, you know, I know when you work for a company, you are always voided from entering those things, but I'm going to see if we can somehow squeeze in anyway.
You said that, man. You've made it very clear. You're going to try and game the system here.
Absolutely.
I just took a 3 to 4 week vacation. He's already thinking about his next one. All right. Let's continue with our NBA free agency roundup here. A couple more questions for you guys. The next one is favorite minor deal. And before I go to you first, Trey, I want you to know that the stream team is telling us that Woj is reporting Sam Decker is headed to the Raptors.
Yeah, baby.
No, I don't have the details on the numbers. I'm going to assume it's not a lot, but you could pick Sam Decker to the Raptors if you want for your favorite minor deal. But Trey, what do you pick?
He's back, Sam. 2 years away. The new GOAT, Sam Decker. Exciting times for the Raptors. He must be 6'8". I haven't checked, but if the Raptors got him, he's got to be 6'8". For me, though, great minor deal. Otto Porter going to the Warriors on the veteran minimum. He reportedly turned down the mid-level exception to sign with Golden State, which to me is an indicator that you're probably getting the best possible Otto. The best Otto, I think, helpful for the Warriors. He's a 40% career three-point shooter. He's only going to be taking the juiciest of looks now. He's got size. He can guard the 3, the 4, hits the glass, handles the ball. 2 things for Otto Porter: buy into your role and stay healthy. That's the big question. The guy hasn't played more than 56 games in a season since 2018. Definitely less of a worry when you're on the veteran minimum than when you're making $20 million a year. But still, the Warriors don't have a ton of space on the margins. So to be able to get a guy like Otto Porter could potentially be very nice for them as long as he's able to stay on the court.
Okay, a little Otto Porter Jr. love there from TK. Leigh, what do you got? Favorite minor deal? A smaller deal.
Yeah, Furkan Korkmaz getting 3 years and $15 million only from the Philadelphia 76ers. I like Furkan. I think he's a great player. I think he deserves a lot more time on the court too, because I think he can be a good shot maker, hitting those threes. Around 38% last season. The season before, he was at 40%. His numbers did take a little bit of a dip from the season before last season. But I think whenever he goes out there, he always gives the Sixers just that offensive punch that they need. And I would like to see him get more time. I think Doc Rivers should get him out there earlier on more often and have him firing away, because I think he's important for them. But so 3 years, $15 million, that's literally like an intern rate, really, in the NBA. So, I think he's good. I think he's way better than that contract suggests. And, so I think the Sixers got a pretty nice deal out of that one.
All right. Tass?
Well, you know who I thought was way better? You said that, Leigh, there about Furkan Korkmaz. I thought Sam Decker was a better shooter. Did a little Sam Decker scouting here as you guys were talking. Yeah, he's not in the hole. He's not on Decker, baby. He's up to bat for the Toronto Raptors, but you'd think he'd be able to shoot better from 3. And I don't think that's just a racial profiling that I'm doing, that he's a white guy. He's just not a great 3-point shooter. He played 2 years over in Europe. He's just gone. I mean, his best moment was falling flat on his face. Unfortunately. It's most notable. I shouldn't say his best.
That's a great moment, though.
That was a pretty great moment. Rockets pick, I think is a Daryl Morey pick, went to the Clippers as I think part of the Chris Paul move, and then kind of got lost in Europe. Now he's back. Wisconsin guy, Trey, and 6'8", for sure.
Huge, nice.
Can't wait to see him on the Raps. See what he does there. I was going to say he's the new Jason Capono, but that's bad mouthing Jason Capono a little bit. Anyways, good luck to Sam Decker. I think for me, I'm looking at the championship teams. Kind of surprised by what the Lakers did. I think the Bucks have done fine, and I look at the Nets that should be atop the Eastern Conference, and I think they did pretty well too. But they're not done. I think they were able to get Blake Griffin back after he performed so well for them. He was starting in the playoffs. Questions were, can he be a grinder type player around stars after being a star himself for so long? And the answer is emphatically, he was so good in the playoffs, and they got him back on. Not sure what the deal is. That's one of the deals that hasn't been released. Probably 1 year for, 7, 8 or something like that. But to retain him, as Leigh said, it's intern type money. I think they're ready to win a championship because as I'm certain they're not done. This rumored deal of Spencer Dinwiddie, who was injured all year for them, going to the Wiz, would probably bring back parts for them, like could be a Kyle Kuzma to play some defense on the wing, which is exactly what they need, or he could be going to there could be a 3-way deal with the Lakers, but either way, I think they're going to get some guards, some wing help, I should say, because they've got enough guards they can trade Spencer Dinwiddie. So to get Blake back, I think they're on their way, and I believe in Sean Marks in his ability to get a lot of those role players around their superstars.
One guy they won't have back on that Nets team, Jeff Green. That's my favorite minor deal of the day, and here's why. A couple reasons. This was one of the rare signings that was reported by not Woj or Shams. Malika Andrews coming through with the Jeff Green signing with the Denver Nuggets. 2 years, $10 million. But my favorite part, everybody's favorite part of this, is assuming Jeff Green plays one game for the Denver Nuggets, and you would hope that would be the case after signing a 2-year, $10 million deal. It will be his 11th different franchise he has played for.
Yes.
Now, I saw some people saying 12th team, which I guess is also technically true, right? Because he played for the Sonics in Seattle, then played for the Thunder. That's where it gets a little, a little confusing there. You go in 11, you go in 12. Anyway, it's a lot. Do you know, Lily, little trivia question here on a fine Tuesday morning. The record is 12.
Yeah.
For a guy that's played with 12 franchises. There's 4 different players that have done it. Can you name them?
Massenberg.
Tony Massenberg, former Raptors player.
Chucky
former every team player.
Chucky Atkins.
Ooh, wrong Chucky.
Chucky Brown.
Yeah. Put him in your compost.
There you go. Okay.
Ishii Smith.
No, wrong Smith.
Not yet. Not yet.
Wrong
He's-
Smith.
Ish got 11. There was a
Ishii
high
Smith.
draft pick by the name of Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, Joe Smith.
There you
Joe
go.
Smith.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
actually the toughest one of these. And then
Yeah.
one more, Lily. You probably know him best. Let's be honest. Maybe your age. The Dallas Mavericks, I think, is the first team I always think of when I think of this guy.
Oh,
But-
Jimmy Jackson.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
that's
Chucky Brown,
absolutely-
Jim Jackson, Tony Massenberg, and Joe Smith. Yeah.
Yeah.
I played for 12 franchises. And Jeff Green, he could
He's got a
tie or
couple
beat
left
this
in him.
for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
And here he goes. He goes to Denver. He's probably like, well, I was joking on Twitter last night. Do you think he just calls up his agent and says, what team haven't I played for?
Yeah.
And his agent's like, I don't think you played for the Nuggets. He's like, all right, let's go. I'll go play for them. There's maybe that. And then he's also probably thinking, I got one of the most underrated dunk mixtapes of all time.
Yeah.
I'd like to get a couple more on the resume there on the YouTube mix. So, put me beside Jokic. I'll cut down the lane every once in a while. He'll find me screaming down there, and I'll posterize another body. So I'm sure that'll happen. We'll get a nice Jeff Green Nuggets dunk, and I know you were happy, Trey, with 2 greens in Denver there with Michael Green also signing. So there you go.
Weed is tight. But yeah, I love it. I love Jeff Green. Surely he's going to add to the dunk highlight tape in the first week of the season. And I think you could almost lock him in to be the NBA player who has played for the most franchises. This was a 2-year deal. Isn't that right?
Yeah, 2-year.
Trade him next year. Teams love getting Jeff Green. He has gotten more in demand as his career has gone on. He's been a great small ball 5, first with the Rockets, then there with the Nets. So obviously he won't be a 5 really for the Denver Nuggets, but he'll be out there doing something, and then some other team will be interested in him next season or maybe the season after that. Can he get to 15, play for half the league? That would be impressive.
Oh, yeah, that would be nice.
The whole OKC twice thing is a bunch of baloney because he didn't leave and then come back. He just was there when they transitioned from Seattle to OKC.
Yep.
So that's just one franchise. So that's why he is up on lists currently, as this will be his 11th team. So he's still 1 short. That makes sense to me. I hope he gets to 12. And stays there because we need a little more compost talk in this world. And if we've got a Chucky Brown and a Jeff Green, boom, perfect stuff. Ish Smith is knocking on the door. His next team will be 12, so he'll be tied as soon as he gets signed.
There you go, Lee. You were close on that one.
I thought Ish Smith though last season there was something about him tying it, but I guess not. I guess he's 1 short. So
and the whole thing is you have to actually play a game too.
Right,
Just have
maybe
been
that's
traded to the franchise and never seen minutes.
Because Quentin Richardson, remember, he got traded like 5 times one summer, but obviously didn't play for those teams. But Jeff Green, remember as well, he missed an entire season with a heart thing. Condition. So the fact that he's still in the leagues, after a health scare like that is quite a remarkable effort. Well done, Jeff.
Just sort of, I guess this is almost back to the WTF question, but I wanted to throw it in here. The Spurs, day 1 of free agency. Little interesting. Doug McDermott, 3 years, $42 million for Dougie McBuckets there. And then they threw $22 million over 3 years to the injury-plagued former Blazers big man now, Zach Collins. What do you think of those moves, Trey?
I was surprised because they were a team that was rumored to be in the mix for Lowry Markkanen, but they just signed 2 other Lowry Markkanens. So I don't know if that's the thing. But the Spurs need 3-point shooting. They didn't take a whole bunch of them, and they didn't make a whole bunch of them last year. Looks like they might lose Patty Mills. He's certainly in demand right now, though obviously the Spurs would love to keep him around. He's a San Antonio legend there. But they need some guys to shoot 3-pointers, and that's what Doug McDermott can do.
Let's hear from you guys in the stream team, and below the video here, you can tweet at us as well at No Dunk Sink your favorite minor deals, because there's obviously a million of them still. We're not going to be able to touch on all of them, so let us know and make your case in the comment section or again on Twitter. Just a final question here to sort of wrap up our free agency talk for at least day 1, and we'll get to the Olympics in a second here, the quarterfinals games. Just so everybody knows, the biggest names left on the market. Well, Sam Decker, he's gone, guys.
But that opens up the whole world, Skeets. I hope you have some random players who were in the NBA last in the 3 to 4 seasons who have disappeared for a while, maybe making the list.
Oh,
Sam Decker.
G-O-U.
Oh, he's coming back. I love it.
So the biggest names left. Kawhi Leonard, of course, is at the top of everybody's list, but it's by all accounts he's going to be just figuring out what type of deal he's going to sign with the Clippers. Is he going 1-1 to then sign a massive 5-year max later on? Is he going to do this 4-year extension? We'll see. DeMar DeRozan still out there as a potential free agent. What do the Spurs do with him? Where does he go? Does he take a pay cut to go to one of these teams that could be a title contender? John Collins hasn't come to an agreement yet with the Hawks, though most people are thinking that's pretty likely. Again, they're just trying to figure out a number. I had some Hawks fans tweeting me last night, or texting me, I should say. Wow, Jared Allen got 5 years, $100 million. What does that mean for John Collins? I was like, they were basically saying it was our friend Jared. He was like, who would you rather have, Jared Allen or John Collins? I was like,
John Collins.
Pretty good question. Yeah, I sort of said John Collins too, but I was like, I'm not going to be angry with either of them. So.
No, I think John Collins gives you a little bit more on the offensive end. Defensively, Jared Allen's great, but I think the Hawks should just sign him up to pretty close to max. Yeah, because you'll be able to move him. He's young enough. And Trey Young did sign his rookie extension there yesterday, so I think you just got to show some faith in John Collins. I thought he was really good for them in the end in the playoffs, and that contract isn't going to hamstring you for too long. So I would do it. I wouldn't hesitate too much on it.
Okay, so he'll probably be staying with the Hawks. He sees again. Jared Allen was 5 years, right? $100 million, so that's $20 million a year. So I think you would expect Collins to get a little bit more than that. Dennis Schroeder. I mean, geez, he could be in trouble here. A lot of people pointing out, like, where's he going to get the money from? Who's going to sign this guy to the type of deal that he turned down? I mean, I don't know. Yep. I mean, you're starting to run out of teams at a certain point with the need for him, the want for him, and then the money for him. So he's still available. Kelly Oubre Jr. is still there. Reggie Jackson, and there are others, but Patty Mills, I guess, like Trey, you threw it in there. A lot of interest from the Warriors and the Lakers and possibly a couple other teams I'm forgetting right now. But those are the names that are sort of the bigger names that are left, unless I'm forgetting anyone. Leigh, you got a list in front of you? Who am I forgetting?
You've pretty much covered them all. I mean, Patty Mills is an interesting one because he does seem to be in pretty high demand out there. So, but he's also kind of loyal to the Spurs. So I'm not sure exactly which way he's going to go there. But I think he's going to get a decent contract either way. But DeRozan's another interesting one as well, because I'm surprised there's no real rumor right now of where he's going. It's up in the air. So he's 32 years old. DeRozan, I talked about it yesterday. Good, consistent, reliable scorer. There's not a lot of those guys out there. So I'm a little surprised no one's grabbed him yet. So maybe he ends up back in San Antonio, though. I don't think so.
It's possible.
Yeah,
it's absolutely possible. Anything to add here, Tess, as we put a little button on what we're calling day one of free agency?
No, I remember the question of Dennis Schroeder turning down 4 years, 80 plus from the Lakers, and whether or not he would regret that. And I thought, they're going to pay him in the offseason. And now that the Knicks have gone and spent all their money, is anyone going to pay Dennis Schroeder? Here's a question. Would you rather have Dennis Schroeder or Evan Fournier on your team for 80?
Probably Fournier.
I think Fournier.
Yeah, it's up in the air. Yeah, Schroeder feels like he's going to sign a 1-year deal and then play it by ear next offseason. But this was the year with so few guards. There just wasn't a lot of big name point guards. Lowry, obviously, Conley. And then Schroeder was kind of that third guy. And
Dinwiddie, I guess, if you consider him a point guard or a shooting guard. Yeah. I mean, sort of similar to Schroeder. And then Reggie Jackson has played himself in maybe to a decent deal. Yeah, we'll see. That might be the way they go. You're right, Tass. Where it's like, which isn't, I don't think, great. I think you may have wished you signed the 4-year 20 per there. It's a lot of money, but we'll see. Let's take one more break and then we'll talk a little Olympics.
Anybody who knows anything about roast beef knows that it goes best with Yorkshire pudding, and that it's kind of complicated to make roast beef in Yorkshire pudding. A lot of ingredients, a lot of pans, and a lot of time. Nice for a Sunday when you've got the time to get your roast on, but when you're as busy in the butcher shop as I am, you gotta be able to put some quick meals on the table too. And that's where Freshly comes in. Freshly offers quality meals without the hard work of prepping, cooking, and cleaning. Freshly's meals are chef-made, nutrient-packed, and delivered fresh to your door. No slicing and dicing required. Ordering's easy. Visit Freshly.com and choose from over 30 delicious, satisfying, better-for-you meals like steak peppercorn, sausage baked penne, or their chicken pesto bowl. Your meals are always delivered fresh, never frozen, and are ready to heat and enjoy in just 3 minutes. With new meals added each week, Freshly brings the convenience of chef-made, nutritionist-designed classics right to your kitchen. Right now, Freshly is offering our listeners $40 off your first 2 orders when you go to freshly.com/nodunks. Get out of the butcher shop and stop stressing about dinner. Go to freshly.com/nodunks for $40 off your first 2 orders. That's freshly.com/nodunks for $40 off your first 2 orders.
If you're feeling drained after exercise like hiking, biking, or even bar 3, then True Niagen might be for you. True Niagen is great. True Niagen fuels the body's energy engines, maintains its cellular metabolism, and even supports heart health. With 11 published human clinical studies and backed by Nobel Prize winners, True Niagen is a supplement that's clinically proven to boost NAD levels, an essential coenzyme required for cellular energy and repair. Taking True Niagen can help with muscle recovery after a workout. Add more vitality to your life today with True Niagen. Right now, new customers can save 10% on their first purchase by going to trueniagen.com/nodunks. That's trueniagen.com/nodunks to save 10% on your first purchase. trueniagen.com/nodunks. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Okay, back with No Dunks last night, early this morning. This morning we had the 4 quarterfinal men's basketball Olympic games. So we'll recap those for you and set up the semifinals. 12:40 a.m. Eastern tip, United States versus Spain. Team USA got it done, 95-81, tied at halftime. You know, once again, great first quarter from the Team USA's opponent, in this case, Spain. Rubio on fire. Tass looking like a madman for saying Ricky Rubio was going to possibly be flirting with an all-star nod there in Cleveland. If he plays like this, lock it in. 38 points in the loss. But Kevin Durant catching fire there in the third quarter especially. He had a great game, 29 overall. And just like the Czech Republic game, they pulled away in that quarter and got the pretty comfortable win. How'd you watch it last night there, TK? Did you go to bed, wake up? Did you stay up? Did you watch it in the morning? Did you just check highlights out? How'd you consume this game?
I went to bed for 2 hours and then woke up and watched the game at night. It was awesome. I felt like a young man again, Steve. Waking up to watch Team USA versus Spain. You nailed it. KD was honestly the difference last night. 29, 10-17 shooting, massive third quarter. But I thought he was almost even better defensively. Him and Draymond were all over the place to the point that Spain basically could not play Pau and Marc Gasol. Like, they just couldn't play their big guys because Draymond or KD would get a deflection inside and then it was a turnover going the other way. And the old guys just couldn't handle it out there with the speed that Team USA was playing with. Lillard and Tatum both had a couple of nice moments in the second half. Zach LaVine hit a couple of nice shots. And like you're saying, impressive stuff from Rubio last night. Pull-up threes, incredible finishes in the lane. He's going to be the next guy we see that we're like, wow, this guy is still in the Olympics. Look how handsome he is. Yeah. You know, he's already played in 3 Olympics now. He's almost 31, so he's for sure got a 4th Olympics in him. Yeah. Not out of the realm of possibility. He goes for 5 Olympics at that point. I guess he'd be 38 years old. Probably starting to gray a little bit. Maybe he still has the beard, the long hair. Be looking great if you ask me. But I think that's the guy. We've been watching Rubio play in these international competitions for the longest time. He always steps up on the biggest stage. Even though Spain lost last night, that was fun to see.
Oh, my God. I like that he now has the most points ever against Team USA in the Olympics or any major event. Used to be Dirk, who had 34 for Germany against the USA in a world championship game. In 2002, I saw Windhorse riding. But now it's Ricky Rubio, Tass. He was attacking like crazy last night, especially from the jump and finishing with 38. But they were overpowered, of course, in the end by Team USA.
Yeah, it's weird to see Ricky Rubio as the go-to guy with all these stars that have played for so long for the Spanish national team. It was just enjoyable for me to always flick on the TV every couple of years and see Spain and Rudy Fernandez and Sergio Rodriguez and the Gasols and those guys do it. But it shows how long they've been doing it, that Ricky Rubio is now their go-to guy. And Pau and Mark, I didn't like seeing them sit on the bench, hang out. I know I'm a fan of men's grays and guys graying, but Pau sitting there with his gray beard on the sideline, unable to play in the fourth quarter just because the game was moving too fast. It was kind of sad to see, but that's probably his last professional game. I don't think he's going back and playing for Barcelona next season. He just did this year, but it was an incredible run for Sergio Yul and the boys. It'll be a different iteration a couple of years from now, but a great session for the what I thought was like Kevin Durant's Brooklyn Nets team in the second half. It was like, all right, let's lock this thing down on the defensive end after not playing tight enough in the first half, and they absolutely locked it up. And as you guys mentioned, all those guys playing like Zach LaVine, just playing off the ball, waiting for his shots. Damian Lillard doing his thing. Like they took their turns offensively, and on the other end, to see a guy like, Devin Booker, not known for his defense, but playing defense like he was in the NBA Finals just a couple of weeks ago, getting on the floor, getting dirty. That team is unbeatable to me. If they play that way for, 4 more halves, so at least do that for a half in each of the semifinals and the finals. Sorry, Leigh, I'm already looking past the Australia team in the semifinals, but that's their challenge, to be the best version of themselves there, not to get all introspective. But if they play like that, they can't be beat.
Pau Gasol and Marc Gasol retiring from international play. I mean, they basically all but confirmed that, but you're right. Likely Pau Gasol just won't play a professional basketball game in any league at the end of the day, but Marc Gasol says he's going to be, of course, playing for the Lakers, so we know that. But I think this is 5 now consecutive Olympics. Is that right, Leigh, where Team USA has knocked out Spain?
Oh, is that right? Yeah,
like in quarterfinal action or semifinal action at times, or even finals, of course, for the gold medel.
Well, what was it?
I think it was 4. It's just 4.
France,
4?
Yeah,
Is it 4?
France
8, 12,
playing out
16.
although that was the World Championships, wasn't it?
8, 12, 16 in this one,
one,
because
fine.
in the one. What do you mean?
Oh, 8, 12, 16. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
We're 21.
Just
I'm all screwed. Never mind.
Counting's
They can't be.
because they lost in 04.
But you said it. Team USA will be playing Australia. You're looking past them. Australia just
I
hammered
don't know.
Argentina,
I know nothing.
97-59. Leigh, how you feeling about the Boomers' chances to you want a medal? That's really what you're hoping for at the end of the day, because the men's basketball team has never done it in the Olympics. So even if they were to lose to Team USA, of course, we'll be playing for the bronze again. But do you like their chances here to beat Team USA when it matters, I guess, really?
Sure, why not? I mean, Australia is playing its best basketball, and they must feel confident having won that preseason or the pre-tournament game in America against the USA. Now, things have certainly changed. The US looks incredibly improved since those games in Las Vegas there. But I thought in 2016 that was our best chance to medal, and I thought that almost might be the end of it for some of our guys, for Paddy and Andrew Bogut and those guys. But instead, they've come back, and I think this is the best Australian team we've ever had. So this is the best chance we've ever got. You're going up against a team that is very confident, of course, the favourite, but there's no reason to think that Australia can't compete and keep the game close. And if that's the case, then I feel as good as I've ever felt about Australia getting from medal. If we finish 4th again, I just don't know what I'll do. I mean, because I think it was 2016, we beat Serbia in the first qualifying game or second qualifying game, and then lost to them in the medal round, and they went on to make the final. So it just feels like we're finally going to break through. But of course, we face the USA at this stage. It would be probably a little bit better if we were facing Slovenia or Italy. Oh, France, excuse me. Yeah, but even still, those two teams are also playing fantastic basketball. So who knows? But I'm just happy for Australia that we got off to a bit of a slow start ourselves against Argentina. And then ended up going 19-0 run to start the fourth quarter, which put the lead out to 31. And speaking of guys retiring and old guys, Luis Scola, I don't think he officially announced it, but he got a standing ovation from everybody there on the court when he checked out with 30 or 40 seconds to go there. And it certainly looked from the way that he was sort of taking it all in there that he's probably done. And I mean, he's 41, so I don't think he's going to be playing in the Olympics anymore. But maybe he'll play professionally somewhere. But an absolute legend of the international game. Sort of sad way for his career to end, but that's the way it goes. So, Yeah, I can't wait. I'm very excited. I think this is going to be an awesome game, and I really hope it lives up to it.
Yeah, I think both of these games could be great because in the other side of things, you had Slovenia beating Germany, Luka 28-11, Zoran Dragic 27 points, 11-13 shooting. So they move on to the semifinals. Luka has not lost with the senior team all time, perfect 17-0. This is crazy. So that's fun. And they're taking on France, who took care of Italy in the end. It was a little closer than maybe I thought it was going to be. 84-75. Italy made a late run there in the fourth, but Rudy Gobert 22-9 in that. So France, Slovenia, and then Australia versus Team USA, and those two winners will play for the gold medal on the weekend. Just to circle back to what I was trying to say there, I thought I had my facts right. Yeah, Ben Golliver had the tweet. USA men's basketball team has ended Spain's gold medal hopes in the past 5 Olympics now. So twice in the quarterfinals, 2021, and then 2004. Yeah, and they beat them in the finals in 08 and 12, and then they beat them in the semifinals in 16.
So hasn't Rubio played 4 Olympics already then? He must have missed one because he played in 08.
I think he had a torn ACL for 2012.
Okay, yeah, so that makes sense then, yeah.
Okay. Luis Scola played in 5 himself. But he took the game ball after the game, so he's probably not playing a 6th one when he's 45 years of age. I think.
Well, he'll only be 44 though, won't he? Because it's only going to be 3 years away.
I said the year.
Yeah, you got me.
So these games are on. Do we know when these games are? I haven't checked the schedule. When are they playing these?
That 12:40 time slot that they played in last night, they're playing. The U.S. is playing in again. Technically Thursday morning, 12:40 Eastern, 9:40 Pacific, Wednesday night. That's when you got to be on the West Coast, man. That's when you guys.
Man. Oh wow! So this is a pretty quick turnaround here for these semifinals games. You said Wednesday, super late night for us. Thursday, early morning. Okay. All right, and then the weekend will be the gold medal and the bronze games. All right, good
what do you think about this, Lee? A good question from Erwin Orosio in the stream team. Will there be another singing bet between Lee and Trey like during the 2012 Olympics? If I'm not mistaken, I ended up singing Waltzing Matilda. I don't know what the bet was because I just looked at the box score and USA won by 33 points. So I'm sure we bet on the line somehow. Yeah, maybe it was like 35 or something like that. I don't know how I took the L, but
yeah.
I'm in if you are. We got to find some kind of line here. Skeets, what kind of line are you going to give Team USA?
Oh, Jesus. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be huge. Though, if I remember correctly, like their game 1 versus France back in the group stage, they were favored by like 15 and a half back then. Though, like, how do we feel about setting it at 8.5? I mean, that still actually feels pretty
That's
high.
fine, yeah.
Okay, well, you guys are the ones making the bet. So, Lee, you're obviously taking the Boomers to cover. Trey, do you feel comfortable with a 9-point victory from Team US? I think that's sort of right, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
I'll take the US.
Okay, so and what? Loser has to sing some sort of anthem type song?
I like that. The loser has to sing a country song of choice. So Lee could choose Waltzing Matilda or any other, like notable Australian song.
Yeah.
And
Hey Sam by Cold Chisel. I think that's what you'll be singing.
Oh, perfect. You're going to do a little ditty about Jack and Diane sucking on a chili dog, sucking on a chili dog.
Okay.
Wow, that's a tiny line, Skeets. I love it.
I should have gone a little
8.5. Woo! I would have taken 18.5.
Wow, I don't know. The Boomers are playing really well from what I've seen them in this tournament too.
I've got Gorgeous Gorgian on the side. Brian Gorgian, the coach. He's back. He's great.
Great. Okay, we'll see. So somebody will be singing a weird country song, either about sucking on a chili dog or what's your song about, Lee? Which
one? San. It's Cold Chisel's classic song about the war. So
cool.
Yeah.
Chizzy.
Yeah, I think it was actually banned for a while in Australia, but it's back now. You'll love it, Trey. It's great.
Cool.
Oh boy, you might be canceled if you sing this song. I don't know.
Nah, you'll be fine. You'll be
fine. All right, let's get to tweet of the night.
Tweet of the night. Wow.
Twitter.
Tweet of the night. It was teased as an Expendables 3 threequel to our earlier talk about some old guys, and surprisingly, this is not a joke. Tweet of the night comes to us from Jason Concepcion, who reminds us of an incredible moment from Rudy Fernandez's rookie season Jason tweets, I've had Rudy Fernandez howling, vote for me, stuck in my head since 2009. Take a listen.
Vote for me. Vótame. Vótame. No. Slandan All-Star in Phoenix.
Do you remember what that vote was for?
Yeah.
The last participant.
Yeah.
The last participant in the dunk contest. Do you know who the other candidates were that Rudy Fernandez beat out?
Eric Gordon? No.
No, not Eric Gordon.
Joe Alexander?
That's one. Joe Alexander. And the other one is Russell Westbrook.
Wow.
Nice call, Tass.
Rudy Fernandez won a fan vote for the dunk contest, beating out Joe Alexander and Russell Westbrook. Had to see him. Got him in a Fernando Martin jersey. Some shenanigans with the judging, they said, as Rudy was the first guy eliminated. I saw some people in the stream team saying Rudy Fernandez could have had a longer NBA career if he wanted. I actually would agree with that. He's one of those Spain national team guys who has been around forever. I think he played in the 04 Olympics. He has one of my favorite random NBA moments. He makes a three-pointer. I think he makes a three-pointer right at the end of a quarter. The other team's inbounding the ball and he gets the steal on the inbounds and hits another three as the buzzer's going off. Incredible stuff from Rudy Fernandez.
You know what I was thinking about with Eric Gordon? It was 2010. DeRozan and Eric Gordon had a dunk off to decide who I guess the final guy was going to be. Wow. Rudy Fernandez, Joe Alexander, and Russell Westbrook in 09.
Another claim to fame for Rudy Fernandez is he's the guy who made Brent Barry retire. Brent Barry always says that he got on the floor and Rudy Fernandez was running around screens and Brent couldn't keep up, and that's when he knew he was done.
Wow. There you go. All right, well, we'll call it there. We're done as well. It was a long one, but had a lot to talk about. Again, let's hear your answers to all the questions we had about day one of free agency. You know, the biggest winner, biggest what the fuck deal, favorite minor deal, who you're intrigued that still remains on the free agency market, where you want to see them go, your thoughts on Sam Decker headed to the Raptors. Give us a real detailed breakdown in the YouTube comments and how he's going to contribute to the championship for Toronto Raptors. Let us know. Tweet at us at NoDunksInc. Send your questions in, nodunks@theathletic.com for our next Beach Steppin' podcast. Subscribe to The Athletic. The Athletic was killing it last night with the live blog. You really forget at times how many amazing reporters The Athletic has that can just instantly jump on when, something involving their team or a player that they covered happens. And then they're like, boom, here's an immediate reation. That's really informative most of the time. So get yourself an Athletic subscription. Go to theathletic.com/nodunks. Yeah.
Sorry to jump in. A tweet of the night possibility was The Athletic tweeted out, what's your steal of NBA free agency so far? First comment was, don't I pay you guys $60 a year for you to tell me that? Good comment. Good comment.
That's pretty funny.
You get a way better deal than $60 though.
Yeah, it's 50% off right now too. Go to theathletic.com/nodunks, baby. This is fun. I don't know if we're going to be doing another free agency, reaction podcast. Maybe if more things happen here over the next couple of hours, if something juicy happens, sure, we'll jump on. Otherwise, on Wednesday, it is the launch of our summer series, Fast Friends, where Trey, JD, and I watch and recap every single Fast and the Furious movie from that entire franchise, where I've been told there's 9 or something like that. Maybe more if you're counting
Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw. I was going to say Kelvin Hobbs or something like that. So yeah, we're doing that. That launches tomorrow. Again, probably on Wednesday. We'll put up the first one for, of course, the first movie. We're watching them in the order they were released. I have never seen, up until this point, a single Fast and the Furious. Trey Kirby's the expert. JD, you've seen a couple of them. JD's just hilarious at breaking down movies. So keep an eye on the podcast feed. And we're putting that up to YouTube as well. Is that right, JD? Yeah.
Absolutely. Of course. Yeah.
So Fast Friends, the premiere of the summer podcast series, drops probably tomorrow or at least some point this week. But again, we'll see what happens in the NBA. And if something crazy is crazy enough, we'll jump on and talk about it. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us here this morning. Huge numbers in the stream team.
We love it.
So you should celebrate that by going to nodunks.com and get yourself a Stream Team t-shirt or a Stream Team mug. Commemorate the day where we have a lot of people in the Stream Team.
Where were you?
Be a nice
Hopefully
thing
in
to
the
tell your
stream.
friends. Yeah. All right. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us. And remember, people can change, because I'm going to go back to Sam Decker here for a sec. The Raps signed Sam Decker, was out of the league, playing in Europe for a couple of years, and our man John Hollinger at The Athletic, where you can get some fantastic analysis. What's that website? theathletic.com/nodunks if you want a subscription. He tweeted, Sam Decker shot 28.8% from the floor, or from three, I should say, in 4 seasons in the NBA, and 42% last year in Turkey.
Oh,
If he shoots, he's an NBA player. People can change.
embrace the day, people.